Hey, hey, hey. So listen, I was doing all that talking and did not realize that my mic was on a mute. Listen, it's your girl, Sean Taylor, here with another live Q&A, homeschool Q&A, y'all. Come on in here, say, hey, what's up? Let me know that you're here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what happens during the summer, like what had happened, what goes on, and give you some options and some things to think about when you're going down this homeschooling road, right? So we've talked about this before. It's the end of the school year, end ish, right? Depending upon when you started. But you're getting to that point where you're getting on your kids' nerves and the kids are getting on your nerves. The curriculum is it's becoming redundant and some of it seems even more unnecessary than normal. And part of that is because you're exhausted and you're tired. And so you're at the end of the school year, you're at the end of your line, into your rope, and you're not quite sure what to do or how to handle it. And so, what I wanted to do is talk to you about that it's okay to take a break. I've said that many times before, that it's okay in this moment when you need a break to say, you know what, this is not working for me. I need a break. My kids are driving me nuts. And the only reason why they're driving me nuts is because they're being kids, right? They're not doing anything outlandish. They're literally just being kids, but it's driving you crazy. Um, but another reason why you may be going through that too is just because you're just tired, just exhausted. It is a lot to homeschool your children, especially if you're homeschooling multiple children. And so the first thing I want to tell you more than anything else is that it's okay to take a break. It's okay to say, you know what, that's enough. I've had enough. I'm going to take a break and we'll pick back up whenever we pick back up. And I say whenever just as a like me saying it, but I mean like we'll pick back up in a week or we'll pick back up in a month or this is our summer, whatever you choose, okay? And so I want you to be encouraged in knowing that you're not the only one that tends to feel that way. That about this time of year, so it usually starts maybe around April, all the way through. So end of April, maybe mid-April to the end of April, all the way through May. Families, parents start feeling exhausted with this process, this thing that we call homeschooling. It's just we're exhausted. And so you are not alone. If you are there right now at this moment where you're like, oh, it seems like this year is dragging on. We're never going to finish. This is never going to be good. Like, if you're at that point, I just wanted to let you know that you're not alone. I will use me as an example right now. I'm exhausted. I am tired. I'm like, I'm sick of curriculum. I'm sick of writing. I'm sick of telling you to do it. I'm sick. I'm sick of it all. And so, although this break was not planned, we decided to go ahead and take a break right now, and we'll pick up in a little bit. So, we may pick up in next week. We may pick up in the week after, but we're going to pick up. And so I wanted to let you know that in all things and all of that, right, that you're not alone. So let's talk about that in itself. You are not alone. Now, the second thing is that although you may not be doing formal learning, right, you may not be doing bookwork and worksheets, there are tons of ways for you to teach your kids important things during the summertime. So, say you're done with curriculum, you're sick of it, your kids are sick of it, you're just done. And so now you're choosing to do workbooks, or maybe even workbooks are getting on your nerves and workbooks are not working. YouTube videos, all that good stuff. So, like the traditional methods that you use are no longer working and you literally need a break. What I want you to do is think outside of the box, right? Think outside of the box. What are those things that you can do to educate your children that you would never think of, right? So I talk about it all the time. My father is a jack of all trades. He literally sees something. I can say to him, "Hey, Daddy, can you build this? I want this," and he will build it. I don't know how he does it. I don't know where he gets it from. I don't understand the talent that's there. However, it's there. And I can say to him, "Daddy, I want this dresser," or "Daddy, I want this table," or "Daddy, I want this nightstand." And he will figure out how to get it done and build it well. And so what I tend to do is, because my dad is a jack of all trades and likes to build and do different things, pour cement, do all kind of stuff, right? I will try to send my boys with him so that they can learn some things that my husband and I would typically not teach them. So I would not teach my boys how to build cabinets or how to build a table. That wouldn't be something that I would personally teach. My husband, although he has things that he would teach him, building a cabinet, building a table, anything like that is not something that he would typically teach. And so what I can do is send my kids over to be with my dad. my dad teaches them those traits, and they have something under their belt that they can possibly do later on. Maybe it starts a love and a passion for woodworking or something to that effect, or handyman type situation, anything to that effect, right? So anything that my father can put together. Basically, they have built banisters, they poured concrete, put like the cement concrete thing down. Like they've done several things as far as that's concerned, and that can be a lesson. So that would be a lesson. I'm not a baker. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I am a half cooker, a cook. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I was spoiled majority of my marriage. My husband did all of the cooking until he started traveling, and so then I had to learn how to do a bunch of things. But the basics, I mean, he did it all. Like I didn't have to. Y'all, your girl was spoiled. I didn't have to cook, and so if I wanted to, and I have, I could also use that as an opportunity to teach the kids on how to cook, right? How to prepare meals, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whether it's grilling, whether it's whatever it is, I can teach the kids how to do those things. And so that can be a lesson in itself, right? And that alone, including with the word woodwork, measuring, right? Math, right? The reason why it's important to measure and measure correctly. All of those good things can help them down in the future, right? Because they need to learn how to measure things. They need to know the importance of measuring things correctly, right? Even whether if it's baking or if it's doing woodwork, they have to know how to measure things correctly. They have to, or otherwise, the table turns out lopsided, or the cake turns out too sweet or not sweet enough, right? And so those are some things that they can learn, right? Household, how to take care of the household, how to take care of home is something that your kids can learn. So it's not book learning, right? They're not in a book, right? But they are learning how to maintain a household, how to write down things, how to clean things, how to keep things like maybe you're doing spring cleaning or something to that effect, and it's time to spring clean. And when it's time to spring clean, you can, I don't know, teach them how to do those things that are around spring cleaning, right? So for us, which we're still going through, don't judge me or judge me, I don't care at this point. But for us, spring cleaning is us trying to go through closets and getting rid of the things that we haven't worn in the last year that we no longer need because they're still good and maybe somebody else can use them. And so that's important for us to do as well. Cynthia says, I don't cook anymore either. Hubby took that over at our house as the kids took more energy during homeschool. Yeah, Cynthia, listen, I was spoiled rotten. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very, very spoiled. My husband cooked for us like I rarely had to cook, and it worked out well for us because at the time we were working different shifts. So my husband worked days, and I would work nights, and then it switched, and my husband was working nights, and I was working days. It worked out for us. But most recently, in the last few years, especially since we started homeschooling, a lot of that has changed and shifted. His role has changed to him traveling more. And so it's been more of my responsibility to take care of dinner. And so one of the things that I'm learning to do now, and that's me just being honest, is assigning my kids meals, like making them choose, and also not cooking every single day. So I don't cook every day. And I mean, I would say at the most I cook 3 times a week. And my goal is to do 3 times a week, but have leftovers. So I cook a meal, there should be a leftover, right? I cook a meal, there should be a leftover. And then I cook a meal, there should be a leftover. And then on like Fridays or Thursday or Fridays or Saturdays, we may eat out. But basically, it's like go fend for yourself. There's leftovers in there. You want to make breakfast for dinner, do whatever it is that you want to do. But most recently, I'm trying to incorporate the kids taking on that responsibility of cooking and taking care of that, right? And so that's something that you can incorporate into the summer breaks. That's something that you can do in the summer breaks. So we talked about cooking, we talked about the woodworking, we talked about the cleaning, right? Something you could do as well is maybe have them write their own story. So maybe they're writing their own novel, right? And doing their own pictures to go along with the novel, incorporating the ELA things that they have learned throughout the year, vocabulary, all that good stuff, making up their story, critical thinking, making up a story, whether it's true or not, but writing a story for them and writing a book, like creating a book. And what you can do later on, There are ways that you can publish books later on or print books however you want to do it, if that's what you want to do. But giving them some critical thinking and something to do, helping with comprehension, right? So they're sitting there writing their own books, and that helps with comprehension. One of the things I learned with my son who struggles with comprehension is my myself and my two of my kids love to read. One of the things that I noticed about the one child that doesn't love to read is that he does not visualize what he's reading. So for us, when we read and we see the red ball roll down the hill, we literally in our head see the red ball rolling down the hill. And the train of thought that happens for us is, I wonder if that ball is small or if it's big, or if it's, red with stripes, or if it, like if it's a bouncy ball, or if it's a big one of those like kickballs, like what kind of balls. That's the train of thought that we have by visualizing what we have read. My son, who does not like to read, literally reads the red ball ran roll down the hill. That's it. It doesn't go down a whole train of thought for him. It doesn't prompt him to ask the questions, well, what about this? And well, what if this? And what if this happens? I wonder what this looks like. It doesn't trigger that for him. When he's writing his own story, though, when he's telling his story, excuse me, he can visualize what it is that he's trying to write. So for him, comprehension is very different when he's trying to write. When he's writing his story, he gets it, right? He sees it, he understands. Oh, that red ball rolled down the hill and it rolled down fast. Let me write that down. Okay, he sees that. And then the ball it hit that the little rock, and it bounced up and it bounced back down. He sees that in his head when he's writing it. However, he doesn't see it in his head when he's reading. And so for us, that's a different way for us to incorporate comprehension and him understanding what it is that he's reading. So instead of reading it, I want you to take these items. Let's just say, I'm going to look around real quick. Let's say blue car drove uphill, right? So something like that. Okay, I want you to go write a paragraph about that. And if I give that to him, he's able to visualize what that blue car is doing driving up the hill. Is it going? And that's the type of conversation we have. So is the hill steep? Is it a little hill? Is it a big hill? Is it wavy, like it goes up, down, up, down, up, down? Is it like a mountain and he's got to get all the way up to the top? Is it struggling to get up to the top, or is it zooming up to the top? Those are the type of things that the conversations we can have with him, and he will understand and is able to put that on paper. But if he's reading it, he's not able to take it further down the road. So let me know if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it as best as possible. But my point to all of that is that there are so many ways that you can educate your children without doing the book work, right? There's so many different things that they can do. One of the biggest things right now that I want to work with my kids right now, especially right now, because we had a vending event this past weekend, and we had some stuff in a chafing dish, and we had to put it on inside another it's not a chafing dish. We had it in the pan, and we had to put it in the chafing dish. And the water, as we put it in there, because we put too much water, the water spilled. Right? It came over the top of the thing and spilled onto the table. And my kids were like, well, what's going on? Like, why is it happening? And I was like, oh, that's water displacement, right? Like, it's displaced. Simple for me, right? And my kids were like, displacement, water displacement. What is that? Like, what are you talking about, Mom? And so what I began to think of that is the same token is, if you can't do full formal school books, textbooks right now, you could do a lot of hands-on stuff. For instance, like experiments. Okay, so you can talk about water displacement and do the experiments and show the difference and what happens. You could do inertia, tell them about inertia, create what it is, and all that good stuff. You could practice in the car, which is what we did. My kids learned the concept of inertia by me driving in an empty parking lot and turning really fast. They learned the concept of inertia by me driving in that same parking lot and making a quick stop, right? Me stopping and their body still going forward even though I stopped, or me turning left and their body still turning this way while I was turning left, right? So that's how they learned the concept of inertia. The summer is a really good time to focus on science and focus on science projects and digging deep into the fun side of science. And see, I say the fun side because Science can be extremely boring if you're not doing a lot of hands-on, and like if you're just doing a bunch of reading and workbooks and all that stuff, kids are like blah blah blah, like what, right? But if you're doing a lot more hands-on activities, hands-on experience, science can be fun. And so this is a perfect time for you to get that education, for you to get in there, learn, and do whatever it is that you need to do without it being boring, right? So let me know if that makes sense, guys. And I'm not going to lie, that might be something that we need to do this summer. We may need to spend a little bit on just science. Like even we were talking about the volcanoes. I know that everybody learns the volcanoes. The kids just recently built their own volcanoes, but it was great for them to understand how all of that worked and then build their volcano. So it wasn't like, oh, this is your science project, go build a volcano. It was more so of, this is what happens. This is what causes the volcano. This is where the ash is. This is how the lava is, how hot it is, all that good stuff. Now you use whatever you want to use to create a volcano, to make it erupt. And so for some reason that stuck with them as well. So that's something to think about, right? That is something to think about when you're homeschooling. You want to think about the fact that it's okay for you to think outside of the box. It is perfectly fine for you to find your tailor made fit when you're homeschooling. Your homeschooling journey is not going to look like mine. My homeschooling is not going to look like yours, right? There are things that we're going to do that are going to be very, very different. It's going to be different, okay? And so when you're going throughout this journey, make sure that you remember that, right? So again, there's no reason to worry yourself. There's no reason to stress yourself out. Right now in this journey, give yourself some grace. Grant yourself some grace in this moment and find the things that you can do around the house to educate your children that are outside of the box, that are not looking at a book, that are not looking at YouTube, that are not looking at worksheets. There's so many different opportunities. You could even take this opportunity, you know what? During the summer, we're going to volunteer. We're going to focus on serving our community. Okay. So whether that means we're going to pick up trash every Tuesday, we're going to go to this and to the help me, Father, go to the rec center and do this, whatever it is. If we're going to go to the elderly home, to to senior citizen home and serve there, but we're going to serve. We're going to focus this month on just serving our local community, whatever that looks like for you and your family. It's still an opportunity for them to learn, but learn in a different way versus learning the book way, right? Learning out of a book, right? Because the experience they'll get by serving their community, they'll never get anywhere else. Like they'll remember that for the rest of their lives, even if they hate it. Even if they hate it, they will never forget the experience of serving their own community, even when they got older. They may even turn into like a future, like, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to serve my community. They may turn into something like, you know what, the way we did that was dumb and I've got a better system. Let me develop a better system for this, okay? But you have to think outside of the box when you get tired. It's not just about book work. It's not about workbooks. It's not just about workbook. What if your child could go to work with your spouse or with somebody else and learn what they do? Like, what if they could go to a mechanic and sit up under a mechanic and learn the basic repairs of a car? What if they could go to a local auto, what was I trying to say? Mechanic. That's not what I'm trying to say, but an auto shop, maybe auto body shop or something. And I say local, because the big corporations are probably a lot less willing to allow kids to be in their area and their facility figuring things out. But your local locations may allow, your local businesses may. So what about if you had a local body shop and you went in there and said, hey, my kid is interested in learning how to repair Autobot, like do auto body repairs. And so then your child is spending a day or two a week up there and learning how to do that different stuff. What if it is as simple as my child wants to be a mechanic? Hey, can you teach him how to do a oil change, right? Or oil change or something like that. And, he's doing the oil change for them. Like, think outside of the box, right? Even if, like, see, I'm scared. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna talk about myself. What if, I'm thinking about us, what if instead of me going up there taking my car to have the oil change, what if I had my son, what if I taught my son how to do? Because I know how to change my oil. Well, I used to. I don't know if I know how to do it in this car. I know the basics of how to change the oil, but I'm not going to do it. I'd rather pay somebody to do it out of convenience. But what if instead of me doing it out of convenience, paying them, I could have my son do it and pay him, right? Because that's something he's going to need. He's going to need to know how to change a tire. He's going to need to know how to put oil in the car. He's going to need to know the basics of a vehicle because eventually the goal is for him to own his own and take care of it, right? Y'all think outside of the box in the midst of the foolishness, in the midst of being tired, in the midst of being anxious, in the midst of being frustrated because it's the end of the year and you're sick to death of anything. Use that as an opportunity to educate your child in a different space. In a different space, right? So I'm talking to myself today, and I don't mind. It's not the first time, and I believe it's not going to be the last. But thank y'all so much for joining me. Listen, do me a favor. Go to the tailormadehomeschooling.com website. Tonight is the last day to get the early bird ticket for the conference, y'all. This conference is a labor of love for me. It is a complete labor of love. I've been working on it nonstop. I've got some great speakers lined up, like Cynthia, that are going to be in the conference speaking to us about things like special needs, single parent homeschooling, working in homeschooling, your marriage in homeschooling, how to get started, all of that good stuff. Do me a favor, go to the link, tailormadehomeschooling.com, and get your tickets, guys. Early bird pricing ends today. That's it. The tickets go up tomorrow, right? So get the cheapest tickets you can possibly get, all right? Let's see. Hey, LP, thank you so much for joining me. Let's see. So excited for you, Sean. I will be there. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all do your best to join us. And as a matter of fact, share. Get some people in here, guys. This conference is amazing. I have been working nonstop on it. Stuff has been crashing on me, breaking on me in the last minute, but I have been, like, just by the grace of God, been pushing through. Y'all, this is what you've been asking for, a place to find everything, right? And so I have been able to put that in one place, and I'm excited about that. All right. So y'all have an absolutely wonderful night. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I will see you guys soon. I plan on going live tomorrow. Set your notifications because I have absolutely no idea what time I'm going live. Every time I say I'm going live at 9 o'clock, something comes up, something happens, and it doesn't happen. So I'm not even going to give you a time. Just set your notifications. Okay. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I'll see y'all later. Bye.